Rain drizzled over the city skyline as Evelyn Ross stood frozen outside the tall glass tower of Sterling Dynamics. Her heart thudded against her ribs, each beat echoing like a countdown to something she could no longer avoid. 4 years, 4 long years since she had last seen Ethan Sterling, the man who once promised her the world, then disappeared when she needed him most. She had walked away with nothing but 2 tiny lives growing inside her, and a heart shattered beyond repair. Now, clutching 2 small hands, her twins, Liam and Lily, Evelyn took a trembling breath. The building before her wasn't just steel and glass. It was the monument to the man who never knew he was a father. She told herself she wasn't here for revenge or pity. She was here for truth. Her children had begun asking questions she couldn't answer anymore. As she stepped through the lobby doors, her reflection shimmered on the marble floor. Every memory came rushing back, his laugh, his warmth, his betrayal. But today wasn't about the past. It was about courage. When the receptionist looked up and asked, "Who should I say is here?" Evelyn swallowed hard. "Tell Mr. Sterling. Someone from his past just came back with his future." The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime, and Evelyn stepped out, her pulse pounding so hard she could feel it in her fingertips. The air on the top floor smelled faintly of cedar and polished leather, just like he used to. Liam clung to her leg while Lily peeked curiously down the endless hallway lined with glass offices and golden light. Every step forward felt like walking through time, through memories she had tried to bury but never could. Behind the frosted door at the end of the hall, Ethan Sterling, the youngest CEO in the company's history, was signing away another multi-million-dollar deal. He didn't believe in fate, only in results. But the knock on his door that afternoon would shake everything he thought he controlled. "Come in," his deep voice called. Evelyn's hand tightened around her children's. When the door opened, their eyes met for the first time in years. For a heartbeat, he didn't move. Then his pen dropped, clattering against the desk. The sight of 2 little faces peering from behind her legs made him freeze. The resemblance was undeniable. The same sharp jawline, the same blue eyes he saw in his own mirror every morning. "Evelyn?" he whispered, as if saying her name might make her vanish again. She nodded, steady but trembling inside. "We need to talk," she said softly. "About them." The silence in the room was thick enough to drown in. For the first time in his life, Ethan Sterling, who had faced boardrooms full of ruthless investors, didn't know what to say. His gaze flicked between Evelyn and the 2 children standing beside her, the ticking clock on the wall the only sound between them. "Is this some kind of joke?" he finally asked, his voice cracking slightly, betraying the calm mask he always wore. Evelyn's expression didn't waver. "No, Ethan. It's the truth you never wanted to hear." Lily tugged gently on her mother's sleeve. "Mommy, is that the man from the picture?" she whispered. Evelyn's heart squeezed. "Yes, sweetheart," she said softly. "That's him." The words hit Ethan harder than any business loss ever could. He took a step forward, his eyes searching the children's faces. Every feature mirrored fragments of his own, his eyes, his hair, even the stubborn tilt of the chin. He felt the ground shift beneath him. "I don't understand," he muttered. "You left. You disappeared." Evelyn inhaled deeply, steadying her voice. "Because you didn't believe me. I told you I was pregnant, and you walked away." He froze, memories flooding back. The shouting, the anger, the fear of losing control. Now, years later, standing in front of the truth he'd denied, all his power felt meaningless. Ethan stared at Evelyn as if the walls had closed in around him. His empire, everything he'd built, suddenly felt like glass, fragile and ready to crack. He turned away, gripping the edge of his desk to steady himself. "I didn't know," he said quietly, almost to himself. His voice wasn't angry this time. It was hollow, stunned. "I didn't know you kept them." Evelyn blinked back the sting in her eyes. "You didn't want to," she replied softly. "You made your choice, Ethan. I made mine." He faced her again, and for the first time in years, his perfect composure faltered. Liam, curious and brave, stepped forward. "Mommy said you build big buildings," he said innocently. Ethan swallowed hard and crouched down to meet the boy's gaze. "I do," he said, forcing a smile. "Maybe one day I'll show you." Evelyn felt her throat tighten. She hadn't come here to rebuild the past, but seeing him now, human, uncertain, vulnerable, shook her more than she expected. "They don't need your money," she whispered. "They just need to know who you are." Ethan nodded slowly. The truth finally settled in. His success had blinded him to what truly mattered. And for the first time, he wasn't sure if he could ever make it right. That night, Ethan sat alone in his penthouse office, staring out at the city lights below. The skyline he once admired now looked empty, cold glass and steel reflecting a man who had everything except what truly mattered. The sound of Evelyn's voice replayed in his mind. "They just need to know who you are." Her words cut deeper than any loss he'd ever faced. He picked up an old photo frame from his desk, one of the last pictures they'd taken together, before everything fell apart. He had buried that version of himself years ago under ambition and pride. But now, as he looked at the photo, he realized that the man in it wasn't strong. He was afraid. The next morning, he made a decision. Without his assistant or a car, he drove to the small coastal town Evelyn now called home. He didn't know what he would say, only that he had to try. When she opened the door, surprise flashed in her eyes, followed by guarded silence. "I don't expect forgiveness," he said, his voice steady but filled with regret. "But I can't change what I never faced. Please, let me meet them again. Let me try to be the man I should have been." Evelyn hesitated, the twins' laughter echoing faintly behind her. For the first time, she saw something in him that had been missing before. Humility. Evelyn stood on the porch as the ocean wind brushed through her hair, the soft laughter of her children floating from the living room. Ethan stood a few steps away, uncertain, carrying the weight of 4 lost years in his eyes. "You don't have to stay," she said quietly, though a part of her hoped he would. He looked at her, his voice barely above a whisper. "I want to. I missed their first steps, their first words. I can't change that, but maybe I can still be here for the rest." For a long moment neither spoke. Then from inside, Lily's voice rang out, "Mommy, come see what Daddy drew." The word Daddy hung in the air like sunlight breaking through clouds. Evelyn turned to him, emotion tightening her chest. "They don't call anyone else that," she said softly. Ethan's eyes shimmered with something he hadn't felt in years, hope. Days turned into weeks. He visited often, learning bedtime stories instead of business reports, laughter instead of deadlines. Slowly, forgiveness found its place between them. He didn't try to buy their love. He earned it with presence, patience, and truth. One evening, watching the twins fall asleep, Evelyn whispered, "Maybe second chances do exist." Ethan smiled faintly. "They do," he said, taking her hand, "if we're brave enough to ask for them."